Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode, or should I say, another segment, another YouTube Live. It is great to be here with you. I do have a special guest, which most of you know. Today is my wedding anniversary. It is actually my 19th wedding anniversary. But I'll get into that in a second. First, let me start by welcoming everybody. And I wanted to let you know that next week, Monday, will be my last Monday Night Live of the season. So, what I've decided to do is I've decided to take a break for the summer to create some new content that I can bring you in the fall. But all is not lost. My podcast, The Empowered Parent, will be launching next week, Monday, and I have enough episodes to take you from the end of the summer or the beginning of the summer, which will be the first Monday in August, right through until the fall. So next week, Monday, is actually going to be my podcast launch party. So you do not want to miss it. I will have some special guests popping by to give their congratulations, and some viewers will be popping by to share the impact that this work has had on them so far. So mark that in your calendars. Next week, Monday at 9 o'clock as usual. I will be here, but it will be my last, kind of like a season finale. So we'll see. Maybe I'll have some prizes, maybe some fun things to do that night, but it will be amazing. So remember, next week is my last live of the season, but I will be back in September with new content. I'll also be planning Empower and Equip, which is the parent conference that started all of this. So I'm really excited. And I see some people already giving me some happy anniversary shout outs. I should wait till Martin comes, but oh well. Thank you, Olympia. Happy anniversary from Olympia and Sarah and Melissa, from Kimberly. Kimberly was actually in my wedding. And I also see Sarah saying, woohoo. So before Martin comes on, I wanted to share some things with you. So if you're from the West Indian community, I guess, maybe it's broader than that, but it's just a context I know, you'll know what a partner draw is. If you know what a partner draw is, I want you to type, I know what it is, in the comments. If you know what a partner draw is. So Martin and I have only been in a partner one time in our marriage. And it was to purchase our wedding album, which I have here today. This is our beautiful wedding album. You can see at the bottom, our name is embossed in gold. And we were, Laura said, awa. That's so funny. Laura said, awa. She's not sure what a partner draw is. But someone said a full hand. Yes, I went into the partner with a full hand, Melissa, not a half hand, a full hand. We went in to be able to pay for our wedding picture. So before Martin comes, I want to show you how young, and look how young I was. Look at that. Look at that picture. Look at that. Right? What up with those eyebrows? What was happening? But that was me. I look like I'm 12 years old. And I wanted to show you, this is me and my mom and my sister. Doesn't my mom look proper? Look at that. My mom always come back, don't crack, eh? She looks so good. And this is me and my dad. My dad passed away in 2015, but he was happy and sad that day because, he was giving away his daughter, but he gained a great son. And some of you guys may know this guy. You guys know this guy? Yeah, Dave Brown. That's Martin's older brother. He was one of Martin's best men. So it was such a beautiful day. Like I need to show you a couple more pictures. Look at us, so young and carefree. Look at that. Look at Martin looking into the distance. Didn't know what was going to happen to him. But I wanted to share that with you. And then a year later, at our anniversary, our first year anniversary, we gave away these CDs. Look at that. It'll come into focus. My brother actually designed the cover, and it's called Songs in the Key of Love because Martin loves Stevie Wonder and he has a CD called Songs in the Key of Life. But I wanted to show you. See our creativity back when you had to burn CD? You see that? Look at us looking at each other longingly on that bridge. Look at that. So longingly. And it was a 2 CD set. There may be somebody in the chat who has, someone said the sax guy. It's a trumpet, Melissa. He played the trumpet. He would be so sad if you heard you say sax. That's us, little. And we had 2 CDs. One CD was the soundtrack of our wedding, and the other CD was all of our favorite love songs. So, keepsakes. Anyways, enough about that. Thank you for the happy anniversaries, those who are here. Yes, my sister has one. She said, "Me have one." Yes, we gave those away. It was so funny that some people still see us and mention that they have that CD, and it's a great memory of our wedding. So for some of you who are looking at this, you're like, what's a CD? This is Apple and Spotify's great grandfather. That's what this is. So you guys know why you're here. I'm going to bring in my amazing husband. We've been together for 24 years. We've been married today for 19 years. And I would ask for a round of applause, but you know, he ain't going to hear it anyways. So right now I'm going to move over, create some space okay, he's doing the most right now. He's like off to the side, like, oh, yeah. Here I come. Right. See, look at him moving me over. 19 years of this.
Did you play my theme music?
Your theme music? Yeah, no, I didn't. He's doing the most. He's so extra. Can you guys see us both together?
Share the screen, man.
I need to share the screen. We practice this.
Okay, come closer.
Okay. Hello. Hi, honey.
Hi.
Happy anniversary. Doesn't he look
Did I get any shout outs?
Do you guys give him any shout outs?
Yes, big up. Yes.
He wants to see that brap was for me. My cousin, she was in my wedding. I would show you the picture, but I put the album away.
So about me.
It's all about, see, this is why he comes on the show once a year. Oh, Sarah gave you a shout out, Uncle.
Yeah, I can always.
She said, Uncle.
I can always count on Sarah. That's what I love her so much.
Right. Okay, so you guys know how the show goes. I usually, when I have guests on, we talk about, issues that are important to the topic. And I had some questions here for my dear husband to answer. And hopefully those of you who are watching will just learn with us as we share our thoughts and our ideas and our thinking on marriage and parenting and fatherhood. You never tell me happy anniversary since you come on. Since you come on the live.
Happy anniversary, babe.
See? Well, that's what I have to do. 19 years. That's all I get. Anyways, I love you.
You're embarrassing me.
I love you. Okay. So the first question that I have, and actually, no, before we do that, sorry. My friend Olympia is on the line here, and we're going to play this little game. So get your cards.
Oh, jeez.
Martin and I each have a card. One is pink and one is blue. And Olympia is going to put some questions up. This is just a little, icebreaker activity for you to kind of get to know us. And then we're going to respond as to, do I think I will do that? Or that describes me for
Can
pink?
You lift up both?
You could lift up both. Or if I think it's him.
In like protest?
Can I lift up none?
I'm offended by the question or something?
You see, I can't deal. Guys, bear with me. Okay. Olympia, can you throw the first question in the chat? And then I will put that question up on the screen. Oh, Deja says happy anniversary. Deja is the mom of our godson, Ethan. He's so cute.
Like a ball and pick me.
He's so sweet. We love him. Okay. I'm waiting for Olympia to pop that first question. Oh, okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Who said I love you first? Obviously. Ladies, if you're single and you're watching, you don't say I love you first.
No, I'll smooth with it. So
no,
even try.
No, the Bible said he that findeth a wife. You have to find me, brother. Me not just come to you and say, Simia. You have to find me. So yes, he said I love you first.
And it was done. After that, done. Game over.
I can't even argue because. Okay, next question, Olympia. Next question. But it was done. Rude. Okay, I'm just waiting because it's a couple of seconds delay while the questions are coming up. So since you said, actually, we can reenact it. Why don't you reenact how you said I love
we're not
you?
gonna do that.
You should, because we're waiting for the next question.
Don't puppy show me to the face. I'm not a puppy show.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Who is the first to apologize?
No, this one.
Really?
Yeah.
You think I'm the first to apologize?
Yeah, because I don't really do anything wrong. So there's really no reason for me to apologize. So by default, you'd be the first.
You see what you see what I'm living with? You see what I'm living with?
See that?
You know what it means? Him have malice bind up in him heart. That's why I can't deal with you. Okay, next question. But you don't do anything wrong. I can't deal with you. Okay, Olympia, hit us with the next question. We're ready. But you never do anything wrong. Oh. Who is the better cook? Tell the truth and give the devil a knockout.
No, okay, whatever.
No.
It's fine.
I want you to say
it. You're better cook. Fine. I don't want to embarrass you in front of your friends on Facebook, on Instagram.
This isn't even Facebook. You're
whatever
rude.
You call this thing, YouTube or
this guy. I can't.
I didn't come out here to disgrace my wife. So.
Yes, Michelle knows the foolishness. You know, Miss Fraser.
It depends on what you qualify as cooking. Is it dinner, breakfast?
True, you're
lunch,
a better breakfast
snacks.
person. I'm a better snack.
Okay,
lunch, dinner, midnight
but I'll
snack.
give you this. I told you I'm not gonna.
Next question. I can't. Who takes longer to get ready?
I'm not even gonna bother putting it up. I'm not. Next question. Next. Because I'm not gonna bother dignify that one.
Why would you say that? It's just because women are more.
Slow.
That's not true, but it's worth it.
Slothfulness is a sin.
It's 19 years. You guys fasting for me? If you're eating food right now, stop, because I need you to fast for me. Okay, Olympia, hit us with the next question. Oh, slothfulness is a sin. I go and show you sin more. Okay. Someone said, is that even a question? That's why I always look better.
That's what I said. I feel insulted by that question.
Okay, next question.
You missed it.
No, it's right here.
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
What's this one?
Who is the most affectionate? Who's the most affectionate? I think it's me. Yeah. I'm sweeter.
No. Yes, you're sweeter. You're sweeter.
I can't deal with you.
Sweeter than the honey on the honeycomb.
Okay, you know what? You're doing the most. I can't. Okay, next question. I am the who spends more money?
Let's keep this one up. Let's keep this. Just give me yours.
I can't deal with you. That's not good. Okay, I do spend more money. I invest more money.
We have wastefulness.
We have lovingness. You're too rude. Okay, next one. We'll do two more. Oh, but my sister. Wait. Oh, this one is easy.
What?
Who has the crazier family?
Oh yeah.
No way. Are you kidding me?
Your sister Michelle alone. Michelle alone. This is whole card.
My sister's not crazy. This is the truth.
No,
this right here. This blue card is the truth. Oh my gosh. My sister said, wait. Who eats more food? You eat more food. Because you cook it, so I have to eat it to make you feel. Okay. Olympia, one more. Oh my gosh. Yes, Heather, you are right. He is so wrong. So wrong. See, I can't come out here and tell the truth. You know what I mean? Okay, last one. Make it a good one, Olympia. Make it a good one. Thank you, cuz. Tell your mom no more jerk pork for you, because that is the truth. Thank you. And Michelle, stand up for your rights. You're soon crazy. Wait till I go back to our house and you want our baked goods. Okay. Oh my gosh, Olympia. Look at this one. Who has more shoes? Oh. Yeah. This one's done. But there's
Who's
a
that?
story behind that. There's a story. So since I was 12 years old, I've worn size 12 shoes. And when we were dating, it's always been a sore spot for me because you can't find shoes. Like when I got married, this is true story. I have a friend whose husband is a pilot, you know, Nicole Patterson and Wayne, and she flew in to Toronto just to give me a pair of size 12 white shoes to wear for my wedding because there were no shoes to fit me. So my husband promised me that, and I used to cry over it because can you imagine having the perfect outfit and you have a flip flop, you have no shoes to wear? So he promised me that I would never, if it was the last thing he did, I would never want for shoes. And I don't. I have many pairs of shoes.
Lyrics.
Did you say lyrics? Okay, I'm gonna take one from the crowd here. We'll take 3 from the crowd from the viewers, if you have a question. Who has the most patience? Hands down. He has the most patience. If our kids are watching this,
wave it.
It's not a flag. It's a cue card. Calm down. Calm down.
Wave it high.
He has more patience than me with I would say all things. Okay, we'll take one more question from the viewers and then we'll get into our discussion for tonight. Anybody? Let's see. Okay. Cards down. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get into the questions for tonight. So we're going to be talking about marriage, fatherhood, and parenting. And you guys always hear my point of view on these topics. So it's going to be great to hear my husband's point of view. So my first question is, we always hear this saying, or we hear this belief that the husband is the priest of the home, right? And I think a lot of pastors say that, and a lot of church leaders say that, and women are looking for like Moses sometimes to be like, we shall do devotion and we shall pray. What is your take on being the priest of the home? Because a lot of my friends, they don't complain, but they're concerned that their husbands aren't taking up that mantle as the priest. So what does it mean to you to be the priest of the home?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Okay, first let me first put this out there that I am not the spokesperson for all mankind. This is just
Really?
my personal view on topic. My wife asked this question because she knows it's a bone of contention with me. I personally cannot stand that saying. I'm not really sure kind of where it came from or how it kind of got this much life. But the way I feel about it is what often happens, and I think you see a lot of it, if the wives are in here, they probably see a lot in their husbands. When you hear that context, it's usually said from the pulpit at church, from the pastor or the minister at the time. And what happens a lot of time is men hear that they have to be the priest of the home and things of that nature. And the women hear that in the congregation, and they're looking at the pastor and they're looking at the minister or whoever is communicating to them. And they're thinking that, okay, my husband needs to be that person, or they need to be like the pastor for our family, like a miniature pastor. Or the husbands are looking at it and say, man, there's no way I can, break down the word or do all that stuff that the pastor does. And like, that's not me. How am I supposed to even do that? So a lot of times what happens is when we kind of allow that saying to kind of be the prevailing thought, we have a lot of men, and I went through too personally. Well, this is my personal experience. I went through it. I'll just speak about me. Feeling inadequate or feeling like I'm if I can't be dynamic with the word and breaking it down and understanding to my family that I'm not really being a husband and I'm not being a good father. Mm-hmm. But what I had to realize and what happened a lot of times and what God revealed to me is that understanding is I don't have to be the pastor, like the pastor. I just need to be the father in my home in terms of how I communicate with my family, my wife and my kids, how I break down the word or how I lead my family to worship or Bible study or whatever the case is how I do it. And I had to really fight that that voice in my head saying that I can't do it that way. I have to do it exactly how the pastor does it or how they do it in church in order for me to be doing it right. But once I got past that, and once basically I know that, you know, God delivered me from that thought, I was able to be free. And with the encouragement of my wife, I was able to freely be myself with my family and communicate with my family how I would actually communicate. And that was really freeing for me. And I think you might contest that it kind of opened a lot of things for us in terms of being able to have family devotions and having time to share and break down God's word. And for me, it was very liberating when I was able to really see that I could actually lead my family in those kind of situations without the pressure of having to be or emulate what I see on a Sunday morning.
But do you still think that a husband needs to be the leader, like the spiritual leader? Or are you saying that?
I'm not really sure what that means, to be honest with you. Spiritual leader. Does that mean like the husband is the only one that has like some sort of direct access to understanding? I never think of anything in the context of a marriage as you know, one person is the one who's responsible for this or that. I think it's always a shared combination, because there's skill sets and understandings that I don't have that you have, right? And now I need to learn how to leverage that, and vice versa. So if I know there's certain things that in terms of the vision for the family or the direction of the family, things like that, I think come down through the father. But in terms of, you know, me being this spiritual giant and then looking down upon my family, and I come down from the mountain with my tablets and I say, this is what the word is.
Why you gotta be so extra?
You know, with my booming voice, you know, I don't like that imagery.
You have the grace, so you could.
Exactly.
You look like you've been with God.
But I don't subscribe to that. And I think that whole concept and that whole idea of having your manhood is tied up in that. And if you're not effective in that way, or let's say for some unknown, like for some reason, like the wife in the family is very like, she could be a pastor or a minister or like have her degree in theology or whatever the case is, and can run circles around you in terms of, you know, the Bible and context and things like that.
But still, I think that the husband, and it's the case in our family where you are that spiritual leader. And I think that's correct. I think it's biblical. And when we've seen what happens in a home, when a husband doesn't take that leadership, that responsibility then falls squarely on the wife, and it causes stress and tension.
No, I agree. But I think we need to understand within the context of every marriage what that leadership looks like, right? Because again, it goes back to a lot of things in the church congregation. Is a lot of women look at the pastor as the epitome of manhood, right?
Yeah.
And then they look at their husband and say, why can't you be exactly like the pastor?
That's dangerous.
So, you know, you have to realize what that leadership looks like within every context of the family. Like we have different personalities. Like I'm introvert, you're extrovert, right? So, you know, there's different ways that my leadership comes out. And you got to recognize that. You got to talk about that so that we can display that and we can show that. But if you're not allowing that, and if you think that it only can manifest itself in one way, and that's the way you see on every Sunday morning,
could be problematic.
Then men will shut down.
Well,
in terms of that.
Somebody has said here that what you're saying, Melissa said, is freeing for a lot of men. And I think that's true, Melissa. I think you're totally right that a lot of men are feeling like they're under the watchful surveillance of their wife, and that they're trying to do things right, but you can never really get it right, and you're kind of being watched. But I think as wives, as women, if we understand our husband's personality, then we're going to be able to allow them to to exercise that leadership in a way that's consistent with who they are.
Well,
but there is danger in looking at that pastor and saying, why can't you be like Pastor so and so?
Yeah, and we also have to realize that it's a process as well, right? Because like you don't just all of a sudden you're the father and all of a sudden
you're endowed
you
with
have all these skills. Like sometimes it's you got to work through it. You got to figure out, how sometimes you're trying to learn, you're trying to read and understand the scripture for yourself before you can give it to your family. Like, there's a process, and if you don't have that communication in your marriage to allow the husband the room to work out leadership in that way, then you become in problems where you think it's expectation, like you should come out the box ready assembled. I shouldn't have to have any situation where we have to kind of work things out.
That's an interesting point, because I would say that the idea of motherhood may come more naturally to moms when you have a child, whether you have that child yourself or you adopt that child, or your mothering seems to come more naturally. And I don't know if as wives, we give men enough grace to grow, because it's so fast for us and we don't really have time to be like, well, I'm not sure. You kind of have to just get into this motherhood train and figure it out. And I think that we maybe need to exercise more grace with our men in allowing them to grow. But sometimes when it take long to grow up.
Well, okay.
Sometimes when it grow slow.
No, man. Like I agree. But I think what you're also talking about is a little bit different. I mean, you're talking about like motherhood instincts, but we're talking about specifically to do with spiritual leadership.
True.
Like when our children came, I had that same fatherhood download. Like I believe whenever you have a child in a marriage, both parties become like God just releases that mothering and that fathering. Okay. Right. But we're talking about in terms like we're talking about interacting with my children as opposed to like the spiritual leadership. I think that is a little bit different, because I think a lot of women and a lot of wives on here can attest that their husbands are probably great husbands in terms of how they interact with their children and the love and the care and discipline and whatever else they show.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like deliberate spiritual instruction, there was no. I don't think there's no instruction for us how to do that. It was just like men need to be the priest of the home, and it's like, okay,
what does that mean?
How do I walk that out in my house? Do I put a little pulpit in my house and like how do I have to have a sermon like how
cap.
How I thought I had to do the sermon with the 3 points and the topic and then the come like that's how I thought, and that's not how I naturally work. And now my style is more of a Bible study type style.
True
leadership, and I think that helped me just interact with my family how I naturally interact with my personal relationship with God.
Well, this is a great question because it segues a great comment. Miss Fraser says that many women are trained to become mothers while they're children. So we're playing with dolls, and that motherhood is nurtured. The same cannot be said of men. How many men are proactively trained? So this actually leads into our... Don't call me that.
I mean,
but that segues into our next question, because I want us to talk a little bit about our fathers. So both of our fathers have passed away. Yes. But what Michelle says is so true. You don't normally see that teaching of fatherhood to sons the way you see in practical ways. Even through play, we get to learn this idea of motherhood. So what are some of the things that you have taken that when you look at how you are as a father, you can say, I actually took that from my dad?
I think the one thing that I took from my father is just the way he made me feel when I was around him. Like I never felt like he never wanted me in his space. So for example, like every time I was around him or near him, I felt like he wanted me there. He would show me, affection. He'd kiss me, or he'd put his arm around me, or there'd be. I just felt like it was okay for me to come around my dad, and I never felt like I was a nuisance or an inconvenience to him, or whenever I wanted to come around him, it was always a warm feeling of I want you in my space.
Can I show them you and your dad?
Yeah, you can.
Because they look so much alike. So this is Martin and his dad at our wedding. Come on, camera. Oh, there's Martin and his dad. Well, this is Martin and Martin's parents, but that's Martin and his dad. So yeah, I wanted to share that.
Yeah.
So that feeling of love and affection, the feeling. I know that Pastor Rob, our pastor, always says, never let your children feel like an interruption. So it sounds like your dad was really good at not making you ever feel like you were interrupting him, but you were.
I don't have one memory of ever feeling like that around him, and I think that is what I that's the foundation of how I think I interact with my children. Always available to give a hug or a kiss or climb on me or whatever, be in my space, or like I always never wanted them to feel like they couldn't just be around me. The same way I felt with my dad.
It's interesting that they say you marry someone that's like your dad, and at first I didn't I didn't believe that, but when I think about my father and how am I drifting? Sorry. And how much he loved me and how much I felt that love and how much he spoiled me. My sister's watching and she would agree. And I think you do that same thing. I think you take great pleasure in being able to give me the things that I need. And my dad was the same way. He wanted to make sure that I had the things that I need in order to be successful. And I see that with you too. And then the corny jokes that you have with the kids just remind me of the foo-foo things. Jokes. The foo-foo things that my dad would do that you're like, anybody's dad do any like foo-foo jokes and you're like, what are you doing? But he does the same thing.
It's the download that you get when you have a child.
Foo-foo jokes?
Comes with the dad joke extension pack.
Dad jokes, someone said. Okay, so you can identify what you took from your dad that was good, right? Yeah. But there are also some things that our dads did and our parents did that we shouldn't be taking, things that we can identify that, okay, because of how that made me feel in my experience, I am going to intentionally not include that in my parenting journey. What would that thing be for you from your dad? Oh, and if you're wondering why all this dad talk, yesterday was Father's Day, so we're trying to tie that in. Go ahead.
I don't think I would frame it as something that my dad did that I didn't want to do. Like I'm the last kid of 6, so my interactions with my dad were like when I was young and going into my teenage years and my early adulthood, and he passed away like shortly after we got married, type of thing. So I never really got a chance to interact with my dad, like husband to husband type. When it was time for me to kind of go to him for that kind of advice, it was too late. But so for that, I think I would that I learned to, as much time as I spent with my dad when I was young and in his space and stuff like that, I always wished that we had more purposeful, intentional conversation.
Okay.
Where he could like intentionally instruct me on some certain things, like, the facts of life, or this is how the world works, son, or, when you get married or do this, like when you get a job, do it this way, or like little keys to, life kind of thing, right? I didn't really get that deliberate, set you down, I'm going to give you some instruction because you're my son, and you may not understand it now or whatever, but you're going to need it for when you're going to go to the next level. And I think because I didn't get that,
right.
I thank God that when my dad passed, I got a great father-in-law, right? Oh. But I wish I was able to go back to my dad and have these man-to-man, husband-to-husband kind of conversations. But I learned that, and now I try to have more deliberate, intentional stage of life type conversations where my girls can kind of, maybe they have to file it away in the back of their mind, but it'll come to light later on.
And I must say that is one of the things that I didn't have also with either of my parents, not even with my mom until I got older. And when I became a wife and a mom, my mom and I started to talk about some more real things.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate, and then when I was growing up, my dad drove a truck, so he was gone for days at a time trying to provide for the family. My mom had to work the afternoon shift, 4 to 12. So my sister was pretty much my mom. And for me, I wanted a husband that was present, that was physically present. So when you decided to work from home a few years ago, I was so relieved, like deep in my spirit, because it's something I had always wanted. I wanted a husband that would be physically present and have those intentional times with their children. And though we never had the son that I wanted, my little chocolate baby boy, you never gave me. We have 2 girls who we love, and you're still as intentional with those 2 girls, with our daughters, as you would be if we had a son. And I really, really appreciate that. So yeah,
Thanks, babe.
You're welcome. Shout out to my dad. He was a good dad. He was good. We won't tell about the time that you saw him get electrocuted.
I'm not gonna know. I'm not gonna spoil it.
It wasn't a bad electrocution. It was mild, but it was fun nonetheless. Okay. So this next question is kind of a father, husband, black man question. So a lot of times, wives or mothers or women, especially when we're talking about black fathers and black husbands, talk about how emotionally closed you are, how you don't allow yourself to show emotion in front of your children. You don't allow yourself to cry and to be vulnerable. And they talk about the impact that has on their relationship with that man and on their relationship with their children. Because we're trying to raise, well, not me, I don't have a son, but people are trying to raise boys that are empathetic and that are gentle and that are vulnerable. But when they don't see that, it can cause challenges. So what are your thoughts on this desire for women to have these men, have a man who is like emotionally like in tune with himself, I guess, and express it?
Okay.
Have our girls ever seen you cry? I don't know. I don't think so.
I think so. I think once or twice.
When they come back, I'll beat you up and they can see you cry.
Probably during your dad's funeral.
But that was like emotional, like a time.
So what am I supposed to cry? Just wake up and cry? Okay. Anyhow, let me answer the question.
Stephen Lewis said kiss.
No.
Don't shame me. Right. Now you have lipstick on. Yay! Thank you, Stephen.
Can I deal with this serious question?
Sorry, the question. Oh, your children are co-signing everything. Okay.
So I want to kind of deal with this question on, there's 2 sides to this. And the first side is I agree. I can see how this is an issue. I can see why this is something that, women are always concerned about.
It's serious.
No, it's serious. It's serious. And I agree. And I think there's a couple of things to go with that. I mean, I know there's the term, toxic masculinity, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that are kind of passed down from, man to man in terms of things like, don't let them see you cry. And, if you show too much emotion or weakness, it's weakness. Or if you're a man, you got to be, tough it out, swallow it all or whatever the case is, keep your head up, that kind of stuff. Those are sometimes, well-meaning, things, but those add to the problem that we're seeing. Right.
Definitely.
And also because of that, it's kind of taught down for the most part from father to father as well. Right. Yeah. A lot of times when, fathers interact with their sons a lot differently than they interact with their daughters, or, they instruct their son specifically, not to, this is how a man operates. This is how a man walks through the world. He walks through the world, with a suit of armor on him, and he's not affected by, any of the things that happen. He can't show weakness. And a lot of that is because we feel there's understanding that a lot of men are taught and feel that if they show weakness, that women will not find that like as an attractive quality. Like,
sorry to interrupt. Somebody said kiss again.
I'm in the middle of my deep thought.
Don't shame me. Thank you.
I can't remember what I was saying now.
That if they show all this, you were saying that a lot of men feel that if they show this vulnerable side to them, then women are going to feel
So is that way trying to show me, like, get me to be vulnerable?
Sorry.
I feel like I was being like set up.
It was Kim. She
Okay.
said, I have to say, I have
Okay,
to kiss what it says. This is instruction.
So I say all that to say this. Okay, so where was I?
So
Okay.
if men show that vulnerable
Yes.
side.
So yeah, we a lot of men, I think if you ask a lot of men, they think that that's an unattractive quality for women.
Really?
Right?
Men, if you're in the chat, is that the truth? That
women don't want no soft guy, and
is that the truth? Men, if you're in the chat, say that's true.
No,
that women
also in the chat, women. But if you find a man that is soft as, if you feel as attractive,
sensitive,
or you like your men tough and and manly and things. Right?
Why are you talking like that?
Because
right now?
These are the things that we deal with.
Right?
These are the things that we deal with.
No, but
right?
I think I don't think that's true.
If you're no, but these are the constructs.
You think men think that?
Subconsciously, men think that women don't like overly sensitive, and because it's almost borderline on effeminate, right? Because you feel like you have to be like macho. The man, be tough. A lot of women, it's confusing too, because a lot of women say they want sensitive man, but then they want a man to be strong. So it's like, okay, how do you walk that line sometimes? How do you be emotional but yet still be the Rock and be strong and all those things?
Tristan just put dots. He doesn't want to reveal. Warren Hamilton said sometimes. Tristan is still praying about it. So Jalen says he used to think that.
Yes, that's because Jalen is my guy. So there's that side. So I want to deal with that side, coming from a male's perspective, but I also want to deal with the other side of it, and that is from the female side.
Okay.
Right? When you say stuff like, you feel that men are emotionally closed or don't express emotion.
Right.
When you say something that, it automatically means that there is something that you're comparing it to, right? They're emotionally closed to what? So what's emotionally open and who is emotionally open? Then we get to the heart of the matter that females feel like they're emotionally open, right? So a lot of women are saying that.
The heart of the matter.
The heart of the matter is, that's not really the question they want to ask. The question that you guys really want to ask.
Well, tell me, please.
Is why can't men be more like me? Like, why can't they interact with my children, respond to situations how I would, right? I would do it this way, or I would say this, or I would feel this. Why isn't my husband, responding to the situation the same way I feel? And the problem with that, the issue with that, because I told you with the male toxic masculinity, is we have this female concept of being the benchmark, right? By which your husband and male is always measured to. So it's never a situation of, okay, the man is emotionally closed. It's I'm emotionally healthy, and you need to raise to my level so that you can be emotionally healthy too.
The live is over. I don't like
right.
This.
So when we have those two things battling with each other,
right,
we always have the man again being in a situation where he always feels like he's being evaluated for everything he does. Every situation that happens, he has to now think about how he's going to respond, because not only does he have to try to be true to himself in terms of responding and deal with that internal masculinity, he also has to deal with how is his wife going to look at him as a man. Once again, here's the box. You haven't measured up to my expectation of what a man is. You're not the priest of the home.
Some men one man said preach. Somebody else said.
Listen to me. I may never come back on this live again,
Martin.
So I'm gonna just talk the things, Let's go talk the truth and just walk off.
And another man said, "True, Brown."
Right.
Okay, so just so I understand, ladies, help me out in the chat, please. So what you're saying is that when we say you're emotionally cold, we're really saying we want you to be more like us.
Yes.
Which creates another situation where men feel like they're being evaluated against.
Not only that, but don't forget, it creates a situation where females think that they are the standard by which everything should be measured. So it puts them in this authoritative, whatever you want to call it, the word, I messed that one up, but position in the home where they're like, I'm walking in perfection in terms of how I interact. Everything I look and see my husband doing, I am measuring him by my standards of how I would react, because my reaction is perfect, right?
You think women think that?
acceptable in terms of this is how the acceptable reaction to this situation is.
No, okay, but wait,
then we aren't that.
but as women, we're also responding to the gaps that we see in our
which
boys.
I identified because it comes from the toxic masculinity. I identified that there is an onus on us, and we need to shake off those shackles.
But you can't put the onus back on us by saying that we are believing that we are the standard of emotional balance.
No, but I don't think how you cannot think that, because if you're saying that statement, just by the nature of the statement, there has to be something that you're comparing that statement to. For example, if you say I'm emotionally closed, then I would say, how do you know I'm emotionally closed? I think I'm emotionally open. Then you're like, no, you're closed because there's something I'm comparing your reaction to.
And you think that something is me.
So if you say I'm emotionally closed and you're emotionally closed too, that's never the situation. Because if you're emotionally closed and I'm emotionally closed, then we both look at each other and say, well,
we're both closed.
We're both good, right? Like there's always going to be that. What are we comparing it to?
Rachel, right? you're fired. Rachel said it's low key true.
Yeah, it's true. Like, and
ladies,
the same way,
do you agree? Do you
agree?
Way
we have to deal with our masculinity.
Do you agree, ladies, that there's some truth to that? That we are comparing men to a standard, and that standard is really at the heart of it
how you would do
us. So then what's the response to that? How do we fix that? I'm glad
you asked me that question.
You still have to deal with, guys.
So, like, okay,
19.
What I want to the message I want to kind of get across to the audience is that in every marriage, the marriage is a construct of balance in terms of man and a woman coming together, male and female, ish and isha, right? And if we don't allow that to happen, we're out of sync and we're out of balance. So instead of saying the same way that we have to deal with toxic masculinity, so we're too low on the emotional chart. Conversely, the women kind of have this silent, dare I say, arrogance in terms of we're at a level that they're not. But really the healthy medium is somewhere in between. The healthy balance is somewhere in between, right? And the reason why you have a husband and a wife in the home, ideally, is because you have to have both of those dynamics happening at the same time for a healthy family.
To balance it out.
I can't be you and you can't be me. Like, I cannot be
you cannot be this
I can't
fabulous.
open emotionally. For example, I can't open myself emotionally to a level that you are.
You could, but you're just not wired that way.
Yeah, most women are designed that way. It comes from the nurturing nature of being a mother. And those
I can agree with that.
Right. But there is a level that I need to obviously come up, and as I shake off the shackles of that toxic masculinity construct, I can raise my level up. But we need to stop comparing each other in terms of you're not doing this or you're not there, because it always puts the other person in a position of I'm already there and you need to come up where I am, kind of thing. And that causes another problem in and of itself. And particularly for men, if we constantly feel like we're being evaluated and everything that we do and say is being graded, it's taxing. Like, if there's no room for making mistakes or growing or getting better, or there's no understanding that we're trying, or there's things that we need to deal with within ourselves, it can be tiring. And then some men just be like, I'm not taking a test anymore, I'm quitting school. You know what I mean?
And that's when the marriage starts to break down.
That's when men totally shut down. That's when they stop responding completely, because there's really no reason to respond, because I'm never going to pass the test. I'm never going to, get to that level.
But I guess that's why it's important in your relationships to take the idea of having a mentor couple really seriously. Because when you get to those points, because we've been there, like our marriage has gone through some really rocky times. I remember like year 7 was like, I didn't think we were going to make it. Year 7, remember year 7? Yeah. It was rough. Yeah. And I remember we went to counseling, And I remember you saying that. I remember sitting in Pastor Richard Brown, shout out to Pastor Brown, Kingsway Community Life Center, in his office, and you saying, I feel like you're always evaluating me. And I was like, no, I'm not. If you would just, and I started to list off the things, and really it was a sense of evaluation. I was doing that. I was constantly comparing you to either what I thought marriage was going to be, comparing you to my dad, comparing you to other people,
There's
like bits and pieces of other men that I had met and other great husbands I had seen, and thinking that, why can't you be more like them? And you're right, it did cause a strain. And if we didn't reach out for help, I don't know if we'd be sitting here, years later celebrating 19 years of marriage. So if you are in a relationship, if you are married, if you're going to be married, even when you get married, counseling and mentorship doesn't stop. That's actually when it starts. And sometimes as the church, we are so guilty of this. We do this with baby dedications, and we do it with marriages, which are supposed to be the foundations of the church and society. And we dedicate babies, and then we never walk through this parenting journey. So all the things Martin's talking about, men never get to resolve, because there's nobody there who is supporting you and teaching you what it means to be a godly father, right? But it's the same thing with a marriage. We do all this counseling leading up to the marriage, and then you get married and people just come and buy you gifts, and then it's like, see you later, when are you going to get pregnant, right? So it's so important that if your church doesn't provide post-marital counseling, and I would say like for the first 5 years, you have a mentorship couple, and we mentor a few couples because we don't want the younger marriages that we see coming up to go through. You're going to go through your own stuff, but if there's things that we can save you from by being open and honest, then
you're going to go through it. But when you're in it and you have the tools to deal with it, it's a different scenario than when you go through it and you're scrambling, trying to figure out how you're going to deal with it. Right?
Like you need to have a couple that is invested in the success of your marriage. Not just some friend that you chat and tell what he did, who's gonna help you add more questions to the test that he keeps failing. You need a seasoned couple who's gonna listen to your frustration and then kind of allow you to see another perspective. So yeah, I like that. You kind of started off rocky with the women, that comment you made, but I get what you
love
mean.
my, other wives out there. I love you, but I gotta be team.
What you say? You love all the wives out there?
Team father, team husband.
What you say? You love all the wives
because
out there?
There's too much. We don't get.
Oh my gosh, he's always saying that to me. That the men never have anybody to stand up for their rights and to stand up for their manhood. Well, you're here now.
I gotta die on this hill for them.
Well, speaking on hills to die on. This is something that I know has been a source of frustration to my dear husband. So let's talk a little bit about Mother's Day and Father's Day. Okay, traditionally, Mother's Day gets a lot more shine and attention.
Just turn this off now.
And Father's Day, Mother's Day, okay, and this is pre-COVID. Mother's Day, you can't even get into McDonald's. Everywhere is full. Father's Day, you don't even need a reservation. But there's an imbalance. And we also talked about whose voice is heard on Mother's Day. And I know that you shared about the fact that usually when it's Mother's Day, we hear from the voice of children saying, I love you, mommy. You're so wonderful. Yeah. And that's not usually the voice that we hear when it is Father's Day. So talk a little bit about.
Okay. So let's stop playing games now. Okay. The real show will begin now. Come. Okay. So all the stuff we talked about before leads to these things. And again, all this stuff is the same issue, just revealing itself in different scenarios.
I agree.
And Mother's Day and Father's Day is another one of those situations.
He gets so mad, guys.
So Mother's Day, right, is first. First of all, that's the first problem. Okay, so
we can't change that.
Mother's Day's first. So it's always in the mind, and we all gear up, and we always ramp up, and we always do this as much as we can for mothers. But specifically what you talked about and what we alluded to in terms of the Mother's Day, when we celebrate Mother's Day, we always hear it, the children talking about their mothers, or it's always motherhood through the lens of their children, that's motherhood. Like, you're not a mother without a child, right?
Right.
So it's always the children, talking about their mothers, or praising their mothers, or whatever the case. And it's so sweet and it's so wonderful, because as a mother, I can imagine hearing the voices of children. You like, okay, I get recognition from the people that I'm doing it for, and all that stuff.
Okay, we get it.
However, then you have Father's Day, which is like, it's like you have this big bacchanal party, hype up for Mother's Day, and then when you have a big parade and like caravana and stuff, and they come after, and there's trash all over the city, and everybody's tired and hungover, and then it's like, oh yeah, Father's Day. What are we gonna do for that? And then you just kind of scrape up stuff together. What do we have left from Mother's Day that we can kind of repurpose from, And it's kind of like this afterthought thing.
Oh my
god! But that's fine. But what really kind of gets to me is that fatherhood is never presented in the same way that motherhood is, in terms of through the lens of children. You never hear, or let's say never, but very rarely you hear presentation done through the voices of children, talking about their fathers, and how their fathers are and whatnot, as if fathers don't want to hear from their children and hear that validation, or that whatever, that love coming from their children.
Just to make it clear, we're not talking about like in your home. So I would say in our home, our girls celebrate Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Because they know better. Because they know what's
We're talking about like how churches will recognize, or just society in general, even at school, like just the way it's celebrated.
So what happens is, the voice you actually hear the most during Father's Day are the women or the mothers, right? They'll say stuff like,
"You're a good father."
"Oh, you're a good father," or we want to recognize you for being there. For being there. Just put a pause on it for a second. How that sounds.
Oh my!
We want to just thank you for being there, coming from the wife or the woman, as well intentioned as it is. We want to recognize the fathers who are just there. You know what I mean? As if the whole construct, the whole idea of fatherhood can be summed up in just being at a location, like just showing up, right? As if that is the extent of the effort and the what we do as fathers, and they can just distill it all down to, we just want to tell you thank you for being there. And what that does is, that is just your ultimate report card, right? So once a year on Father's Day, the women come along and then they grade the father and say, you were there, check, right? And then that's all you get. Okay, I'm a great father because I was there. And I heard that from a woman. I don't hear nothing from their kids. I don't hear nothing from the children's voices. I don't hear any
presence.
Just all I gotta do is just show up in the building, and I was there. And always like, thank you for the fathers that are there. And it's never the children saying, thank you for my dad.
But maybe that's because for many women, that is what they did not have.
I get that, but that ain't our problem.
Wow!
That's like saying, like,
you're right.
You never hear on Mother's Day any father or any man saying, we want to thank all the mothers who were there, just there, like that showed up, that were present in our lives. It's always something deeper and richer in terms of, the effect that you had on your children, and the children are going to speak from that, and say how they felt of their mother and what their mother did and meant for them. But the fathers never get the children's voices.
I see. Courtney says it's so true. You've always had the preacher in you. All right, he's coming out, but let me see some more. Yep, as long as you put your pants on right. So
right, the bar is so low. It's just like, thank you for bringing food home.
But this comment is really, that's your ultimate report card. So we're actually, and I always say this, we're feeding the beast that we're trying to kill. So we are trying to change the narrative around fathers, but then we reiterate that old stereotype that we're trying to eradicate by how we recognize fathers on Father's Day. So saying things like "thank you for being there" is inappropriate because fathers do more than that.
I would even accept "thank you for being there" from my children, right? So if we had like nice little monologues and videos and all these things with children's voices, and they, "Oh, thank you, Daddy, for being there," like that would warm my heart. But a bunch of well-intentioned, like I said, well-intentioned wives and other females just saying to all the men for just being there, that we're talking about fatherhood here. We're not talking about, you know what I mean? Like, I want to hear from why I'm a father, and I'm a father because of my children.
Well, and again, just for those of you who are watching, because I'm watching the comments, we're not talking about how you personally recognize your father. When my father was alive, I never really said thank you for being there, because he was there, so I didn't really thank him for that. And most of us are more specific.
You never see that
public,
publicly. They never think about, when they think about fatherhood presentations. And even think back all the father presentations that you've seen.
Laura said a father is not a piece of furniture. So thank you for being there, like a chair,
right?
Right.
Like for support and stuff like that, and that's all fine and dandy.
So what would you say would be more appropriate if you were talking to a church? Let's put it in the context of church, and they're planning to recognize fathers. What would be something that you would say is more appropriate?
So here's a way to kill two birds with one stone, or feed
two birds with one bread.
Okay, all the stuff we talked about before about toxic masculinity and the issues that it comes with, and then the men being emotionally closed. Father's Day is a great opportunity to show what fatherhood is about, and outside of the context of just being a man, being stoic, and being there, right? So now, like, for example, churches, they could do a presentation much kind of the same as they do for Mother's Day. Parade the lovely little kids up there. Let the kids talk about how their fathers make them feel, you know, emotionally, what they've done for them, you know, how their conversations or presence or what they've done affects them on an emotional level. How you get with mothers, you know, you get that, you know, your mom, you get that nice little warm fuzzy feeling. Parade the kids up there and let them talk about their fathers. So then your fathers are sitting there, man, my kids are telling me they love when I hug them, or when I was there and I made them laugh with their corny dad jokes, or, you know, or had a conversation about life, or like, then you're like, okay, you know what? This is what my kids are talking about. So this is what is the thing, you know what I mean? So let me continue to do that. And the fathers that aren't doing that can hear other kids. That's what the kids are echoing, and that's what's resonating with them. And we can kind of break that mentality. But when you sum it all up, you know, on Father's Day, the day for fathers, and you sum it up in the big context of, as long as you're there, thank you for being there. You know, it just diminishes
what fatherhood is. Diminishes it for those who are not just there. Sarah has a good point here. She said that not every kid has good experiences, but I get what you're saying. But and I guess the bigger idea is, by publicly sharing what fathers should be doing, by finding children who have those experiences, you're also, this is the feed two bird, you're teaching fathers who may not know better what it looks like and feels like to be a good father.
But that's the whole point of Father's Day, right? We're celebrating the what father should be. Like, this is a celebration. This is a celebration of the epitome of father. You know what I mean? Capital letters, right?
Right.
I can say that there's a lot of people that had a lot of mother issues, right?
True.
But yet we never think of that in the same context. We always be like, well, you know,
you would never say to a mom,
you never,
you there.
No, and you're like, and we accept Mother's Day as the day that we celebrate the best of motherhood, right?
Yeah.
And we package it as such. Whereas there's a lot of people that had a lot of horrible relationships with their mothers and did a lot of damage growing up in all the nine, right? So when you come to Father's Day, we need to celebrate the epitome of what a father is, and celebrate that in its totality. And yes, there's going to be people, maybe even more so than mothers, that have bad interactions and bad, you know.
That shouldn't stop you.
Whatever, like, but so that has nothing to do with Father's Day.
Do you think we need to redo Father's Day? You think we need a redo?
I don't know. I just
Happy Father's Day.
get me all worked up on here.
You sweating, like, seriously.
You
This
know,
is real. But it is important to think and talk about these things, because what you present in public becomes the norm. And when it becomes the norm and the bar is set so low, then it's hard to break those stereotypes. I saw a comment here.
Are we doing time?
Someone said something here that I like. I think that gets missed because churches are afraid to talk about and teach us about the real issues. I agree. I think that part of the reason why we, as the church, we dance around certain issues is because we don't want to get to the heart of the matter. But I think by rethinking how we celebrate fatherhood, or by talking about how we celebrate fatherhood, and not making it just, well, fathers are they're just hating on us. Like, not thinking of it in that way, but actually having a serious conversation about how are we recognizing fathers, and are we fulfilling our responsibility to present a great picture of fatherhood, especially for those who are sitting in the room who aren't there yet, so that they can see the impact that it has on children, the impact that it has on a marriage, the impact that it has on a mom when a father is present, and he's active, and he's loving, and he's caring, and he spends time, and all of those things that we are very careful to not leave out of Mother's Day. Right? Oh my gosh, Laura, you just said something. You want Martin to turn this table over.
What?
About, like, she mentioned, you know, single moms getting Happy Father's Day greetings.
Next question. Next question.
Oh, wait. Let's talk about it for a minute. Listen.
Question.
So Martin does not like when mothers are given,
like 5 questions or something like that. Can we
are given Father's Day greetings, and it's not because he doesn't recognize the extra effort that a mom has to put in when a dad is not present. But I remember when I was speaking to Jeff Martin, when I had him on, when I was on Instagram, and he said it plainly. He said, a mother cannot be a father. And he said it like 3 times. And it's when you first hear it, if you're a single mom, I'm sure it stings. But he went on to explain that you can't really talk about how important it is for kids to have a father in their life
if they're replaceable.
If they're replaceable, right? So we want to talk about that.
No, I think we're out of time. I just think that, again, it goes down to,
the people want you to talk about it. Tristan said that we don't say that on Mother's Day. We don't recognize fathers who are even sometimes fathers who are married and they're taking the brunt of the load, or single fathers. We don't do the same thing. We don't do the same thing.
It goes, like, again, all this stuff ties together, right? What are we saying to our fathers? And what are we saying to the men? Right, we're saying, again,
you're replaceable.
That your job is just, again, like Thomas said, you're just a piece of furniture, right? And if you're not there, I can replace you by just doing your job and my job, right? When we all know, and everybody knows, like, a mother can't be a father, and it's like the same way a father cannot be a mother. There's certain, we're made up differently for purpose and a reason, and ideally, in God's plan, is to have both of those things working together in the marriage, because the marriage, the man or the woman, and the woman, the Isha and the Isha, coming together is the physical representation of the image of God on the earth, right? So man and woman together. So that's the ideal plan. So you cannot remove one and say, I can compensate for that loss somehow by just emulating or doing what I think that man should be doing, right? And I think,
well, and it also diminishes the emotional impact
everything
that a father has in a home when you just say, I'm mother and father both. Maybe you are, in terms of financially having to provide everything and your time, but you can't deny the emotional gap that's there. And when we say things like that, when we say things like Happy Father's Day to a mother, what you're saying to that child also is that we don't need We don't need
We don't need
fathers.
fathers.
We can just do this by ourselves. And
I
I
know.
get it. I get why you would feel that way. But I think I would have to agree with my husband that
No, we can go into it a lot. We can understand that, we need to be able to unpack, the original design and understanding what God's plan and design is for the marriage and for husband and wife. We don't have time to get into all that.
True. Well, yeah, you'll have to come back.
Maybe I was kind of treated kind of poorly today, but I might think my people
will call your people. Yeah. He's doing the most the whole day, doing the most.
So yeah, I mean, well, again, I just want to wrap it up. Like, again, if there's nothing that you hear from what I'm saying, I want you to hear that there is a purpose for both the husband and the wife, the father and the mother. There's a reason why it's designed like that, and we cannot just gloss over the fact that it was designed and there's a purpose that way. Both are needed in the home for a reason, and we need to value both.
What both bring.
Both bring, and we need to understand that, right? Yes.
Sorry.
What?
Denise said kiss again.
Oh gosh.
Why are you acting
I'm playing.
Why are you burping me? You have lipstick all over you.
That's not going to
Thank you, Denise. Listen. I want to thank you, husband, for coming on and sharing the camera with me. I hope you guys enjoyed that. 19 years and 2 beautiful daughters.
Do we have like an easy question to kind of ease us off?
An easy.
I feel like we kind of
kiss properly. Listen, this is the founder of To Love and to Cherish. This is Kim. We have to cherish each other.
On the lipstick.
I'll wipe it out.
You wipe it off on my
I've got the blackness of your skin. Okay, guys. Listen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are kind of over our time.
Yeah.
But do you guys have one question you want us to answer? One question about us.
I think at some point we need to kind of go back to the original design of how God planned, and understand that there's some things that we can understand fundamentally that God put in place. And I won't get into it.
Listen, and it is a whole nother episode, because Martin actually explained that to our girls. I don't have it here. No, where it is. We have this little box that we have the scriptures that we each chose, and we pull out a scripture every Monday, and we study that scripture together. And I think it was last week, Simone's scripture was, "For this reason, a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." And Martin, it was just, I actually voice noted it. So if you know me personally, you can message me and I'll send you the voice note.
For the low payment of $19.99.
And if you order today, but it was so good. So we'll have to come back on and do that. All right. It was good. He made the first question about the priest. He is the priest in our home. He is so good at studying scripture and breaking it down to help us as a family understand what God's word is saying. And I know you always say it's great to go to church and it's great to hear your pastor preach, but I know you place a premium on reading the word for yourself. Right? And we do study God's word together as a family. So someone said, who said I love you first? We answered that. Martin said I love you first. We were actually on the phone. Remember we used to talk on the phone late at night? You acted like you don't remember.
No, our children are
we never talked on the phone late at night, Kimberly. Kids, we didn't. We talked on the phone in the day between 9 and 5. But he said, I love you. And I was so flustered. I said, I'll call you tomorrow.
All part of the plan.
But thank you guys
thank you for having me.
Thank you for
being
here.
I was a long time listener, first time guest. So it was nice to be here.
I love you.
I love you too, baby.
Very, very much.
And I hope that I hope that the men that were tuned in today, one, I hope I did you guys justice, and and I hope that that I know we kind of get the short end of the stick a lot, and I just want to encourage us to kind of allow ourselves to be what God called us to be in our individual families. I know that you have loving wives that mean the best and want the best for you. Remove your pride. Undo those things that we've gotten taught, toxic masculinity. There's a reason why God built the woman from our side, didn't create or form her. It was built. And we need to remove the pride in order for her to be a helpmate to produce some things out of us. But that's to be another day. Continue. But I just wish the best for the men out there. And I think if we get it right, we can change a generation. We can change our children's lives. And it can become powerful in terms of who we are and who our families are. That's all. That's all I want to say. I just want to say I love the men out there.
Can you see this
Big up to all the men.
Your daughters want a brother. I know only one daughter wants a brother. The other one doesn't. So stop telling lie, Nigel. One daughter wants a brother. But thank you for being here, babe. And to those of you who are watching, thank you for tuning in. Please remember that next week is my podcast launch party. It will also be the last live of the season. I'll be working on some content. My husband is going to be helping me. It's my launch party.
Oh, okay.
He's acting like he doesn't know, but it's going to be my launch party. Shout out to Tristan Barracks, who is the executive producer of my podcast and of 90% of the video work that you see comes out. He's phenomenal. And we've been working on this podcast and it's ready. So next week will be the last live on Monday night, but the podcast lasts, and there's enough episodes in that first season to take us through the summer into the fall.
That's going to be great.
So it's going to be fun. I'm very excited, and thank you for allowing us to be in your home.
Video, please. If you got anything out of this,
yes, like and subscribe.
The men that are on this live, I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. I'm asking you to like this video, and we can see if we can get this content to a lot more husbands and men out there that need it. And by you subscribing and liking this video, you can do that.
Thank you. Please do. So we love you guys. And remember that empowered marriages are built on God's word. We firmly believe that Christ needs to be the center of your marriage, the center of your family. You are a power couple. Don't look online for relationship goals anywhere else. If you are married, if you're in a relationship, you are a power couple because your power comes from Jesus Christ. And the same power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead lives inside of you and is circulating and moving around in your marriage. It's just about ensuring that you activate it, that you surround yourself with people that have God's best interests in their heart for your marriage. So thank you and see you guys. Bye.